Good afternoon from Barcelona. I'm Nick Harris. Alongside me, Matt Burt. Down in pit lane, Dylan Gray. Round 7 of the MotoGP World Championship.
All Spanish front row, Marquez, Lorenzo and Pedrosa. Row 2, what a performance by Hector Barbera. He was ahead of Valentino Rossi and Maverick Vinales.
Row 3, rejuvenated Cal Crutchlow, Andrea Iannone and Danilo Petrucci. Row 4, Andrea Dovizioso, Scott Redding and Paul Espargaro.
Fifth row headed by Aleix Espargaro, the pole man here 1 year ago. Smith and Pirro join him on row 5. Hernandez, Lavati and Bradl, that's your row 6.
Row 7, we have a Jack Miller, Tito Rabat and Alvaro Bautista. 21 riders will contest round 7 of the MotoGP World Championship on a glorious Mediterranean afternoon here in Barcelona.
The odds look good for a Yamaha win if you believe in past history here in Barcelona. In the modern 4-stroke era, 8 wins for Yamaha, 4 for Honda and 2 for Ducati.
Final sighting lap for the riders. People settle down in the grandstand as they race down towards turn 1. Well, Dylan, tyre choices perhaps not quite as different as we thought they were going to be. Just have a look at the temperatures. Track temperature, 114 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty warm, the track temperature, and that's what is worrying the riders, Dylan.
No, exactly. You know, they are worried about excessive spinning. They're worried about the tyres dropping off. That is why we have so many guys going onto that harder option rear. Those that have the medium tyre, be interesting to see what they can do at the start. You know, the likes of Pedrosa, Smith, Paul Espargaro and Tito Rabat. But, you know, you've got to say that on what we've seen throughout the practices, the hard seems like the obvious choice. What is going to be interesting is who does this do? Excuse me, who do these hotter conditions favour? We know in the past that the Honda has actually struggled more in that, so maybe Marquez won't be quite as dominant as we come to expect.
Rub your hands, get ready. This could be one hell of a race. We ride with Cal Crutchlow. He's qualified on the 3rd row of the grid in 7th place. There are those track temperatures. Pretty standard all the way around. They look more impressive in Fahrenheit, don't they? That track is warm.
Yeah, somebody who might be worried is Maverick Vinales. All season long, well, pretty much since he jumped on the Suzuki at the start of 2015, there's been one Achilles heel for Vinales on the factory Suzuki. It's been wheel spin in these hot conditions. A crowd just short of 100,000 fans packed into this circuit, the Barcelona, Catalunya.
Another amazing crowd. Just a reminder of those championship standings. Lorenzo leads the way by 10 points from Marquez. Rossi in 3rd place, vital race for him because he's 37 points down on his teammate.
It was Lorenzo that made the best start in Mugello. Can he repeat that here from 2nd place on the grid? The Honda not the easiest bike to launch off the line for Marc Marquez. What about Rossi coming from the middle of that 2nd row of the grid? There's Andrea Iannone just at the top of your picture as well. He's had problems getting that Ducati off the line all year. Keep an eye on him in 8th.
So here we go, round 7, the MotoGP World Championship. Front row, Pedrosa, Lorenzo, Marquez, 3 Spanish riders. This is a tribute to one of MotoGP's favourite sons, Luis Salom, and problems at the back of the grid. I think somebody actually
it was Hector Barbera didn't get in the right grid slot.
So here we go, 25 laps of this Barcelona Catalunya circuit. Round 7 of the MotoGP World Championship. Good start again by Jorge Lorenzo.
Dani Pedrosa also got away well from the front row of the grid. Will Pedrosa have the inside line on the run down to the first corner? What a start by Andrea Iannone. Got a flyer this time around. Paul Espargaro looks up the inside. Iannone's already up to 3rd. The race leader, though, is Lorenzo from Marquez.
We ride with Lorenzo. Marquez behind him through turn 2, up towards turn 3. The start from the front row. What a start from Andrea Iannone from that 3rd row of the grid. That's the start he needed to make 2 weeks ago in Mugello.
As good a start as it was for Iannone, it was as bad a start for Valentino Rossi. Rossi's been dropped back down from 5th into 8th place. There's Maverick Vinales currently running in 5th. So a better start this time around for Vinales. He got a shocker in Mugello. Pedrosa up the inside of Andrea Iannone. Beautiful move at turn number 5 from Pedrosa.
Yeah, the 2 Hondas know. They know better than anybody else. They mustn't let Lorenzo get away at the front. This is Lorenzo territory.
Lorenzo already almost 0.4 of a second clear on Marc Marquez. They peel through turn number 9. That got tight between Maverick Vinales and Andrea Iannone. Did Vinales lose a bit of momentum? No, he didn't. Rossi's already back up into 6th place. He's picked off Barbera and he's now looking up the inside of Vinales. Down at this revised turn number 10. No way through for Rossi this time around. Paul Espargaro has picked up Hector Barbera. Paul Espargaro now up inside that top 8.
Now into the new section, section 4, up over the rise as they come through the new turn 12. And now down into the Formula 1 chicane. Dips right. and then it goes left and right into the new turn 16, back into the start and finish straight to end lap 1 here in Barcelona.
It's going to be crucial for Viñales and Rossi to get by Andrea Iannone as quick as they possibly can, because the top three, Lorenzo, Marquez and Pedrosa, are already starting to open up a bit of a gap at the front. Iannone over the line in 4th place. He was 0.8 of a second behind Pedrosa, and there won't be a slipstream by that Ducati down the start-finish straight. Rossi up the inside of Viñales. He also has a look up the inside of Iannone. Brilliant by Rossi. Picks up 2 places. Will he be able to make it stick? Viñales tries to fight back. Rossi 4th.
Wow, that's Moto3 tactics, isn't it? Viñales trying to fight back. Iannone thought, I might have a little grab of this, but 37 years old, he's still got every inch of his body honed to Grand Prix racing.
Rossi was an absolute demon on the brakes at the end of that back straight. He didn't have the horsepower to out-drag Iannone on the Ducati down into the first corner, but he just left his braking so late up the inside of Iannone and Viñales. What a move by Rossi. Now he's got to hunt down the 3 Spaniards at the front of this race. The gap between Pedrosa in 3rd, Rossi in 4th place is 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, we ride with Maverick Viñales. That is Valentino Rossi in front of him. Will he have another nibble at him, Maverick Viñales, or will he perhaps think Rossi might just pull me along to join these 3 at the front?
Yeah, Andrea Iannone made the start this time around, but all weekend he's never really had the pace of this lead group. Viñales, has he got to look up the inside of Rossi at turn number 10? Oh, that was very tight. Viñales ran in too hot. He's dropped way back of Rossi. Andrea Iannone wasn't able to fight his way back through, but Viñales has lost crucial bike lengths, probably 7 or 8 bike lengths to Rossi.
It'd have been better to wait, surely, because if Rossi's going to drag them along, he could have been in that train. Now he's got to work very hard indeed. Lorenzo has not got away at the front, though Lorenzo does tend to treat it quite gently the first few laps before trying to put on the pressure, but Marquez beautifully placed.
A couple of riders that dropped down the order in the first couple of laps. Hector Barbera, who was on 4th place in the grid, he's in 9th place. Cal Crutchlow, who was 7th, he's back in 11th. Crutchlow's just taken 10th place from Barbera. Rossi, the fastest man on track on that second lap, 1:46.165. Problems for Bradley Smith. He's at the back of the field down in 21st place, a 1:49.9. Bradley Smith was 3 seconds slower than the lead group on that second lap.
Well, Rossi has made it a foursome at the front rather than 3 riders. You can see Maverick Viñales is fighting back very hard in 5th place. It really is crucial now for the next few laps that the Hondas work very hard indeed to ensure that Lorenzo will start eking out the pressure a little bit now. He's sorted out the tyres, he's sorted out the fuel's gone down a little bit, and he would try and open up an advantage over these pursuers.
Yeah, Lorenzo stretched his advantage now to just over 6.5 of a second. Viñales right back on the rear wheel of Valentino Rossi. This lead group of 5, they have broken away now from that chasing pack, which is being led by Andrea Iannone. Iannone, the Italian, dropped back 0.7 of a second behind the Viñales. Rossi up the inside of Dani Pedrosa. Beautiful move up the inside at that revised turn 10. No way back through for Pedrosa. He won't be able to snatch the inside line through turn number 11. Rossi had that bad first lap, dropped back down to 8th place. He's back inside the top 3.
Absolute demon on the brakes today, isn't he, Valentino Rossi? Smooth braking late. Viñales tries to fight back once again. Viñales, has he got up the inside of Dani Pedrosa? Yes, he has as they come into 16. Pedrosa tries to fight back through 16. He holds the advantage. He almost puts his helmet on the rear wheel of Dani Pedrosa's Honda there as they come through turn 16.
Unbelievable between Pedrosa and Viñales through that new Formula 1 chicane. Viñales attacked first at turn number 13. Viñales comes up the inside again at the first corner. No way through this time around. Now, what this is doing, this is letting Valentino Rossi get a bit of breathing space between Pedrosa and Viñales in that battle for 4th and 5th. Lorenzo's lead through the first sector, almost half a second over Marquez. Marquez a further 0.3 clear of Rossi.
Well, we highlight the battle between Viñales and Pedrosa. He runs it just a little bit wide again, Maverick Viñales. And Pedrosa comes through once again. Down they come down towards turn 5. Viñales tries to look up the inside, this time a block from Dani Pedrosa. We ride with Pedrosa, 25 right in his face. We switch now to Viñales.
3rd time in a lap now that Viñales had a lunge up the inside of Pedrosa, and he hasn't been able to make the pass successful as yet. Climb up out of turn 8 through this very fast turn 9, coming onto the back straight.
Yes, slightly shortened back straight now with that new turn 10. He's lining up. Up he comes up the inside as they come into turn 10. Side by side they come. If he can make it stick it through, he can't. He's run wide again, and Pedrosa once again retakes 4th place.
Viñales has dropped right back into the clutches of Iannone, Pol Espargaro, then it's Andrea Dovizioso, Crutchlow, Barbera. That's the top 10 at the moment. Lorenzo looking pretty comfortable, as he always does, at the front of the field. 0.6 of a second quicker than the pole man Marquez. Rossi's come right back into victory contention here in Barcelona. They're about to complete lap number 4 of 25. Viñales getting a little bit impatient, wasn't he, to try and find a way through on Pedrosa. Rossi again, quickest man on the track, a 1:46.102. 0.3 of a second quicker than Marquez and Lorenzo last time around.
Into turn one they came. This difficult right-hander at the end of the 215 mile an hour front straightaway through turn up towards turn 3. Rossi is flying. New race record. A 1:46.102 for Valentino Rossi as they come up to 3 and 4.
Yeah, those mistakes on the brakes by Vinales really cost him dear. Ran on at turn number 10 as he had another lunge up the inside of Pedrosa. Vinales last time around was a 1:47.3. That was almost a second slower than Pedrosa. It was a costly move by Vinales at turn number 10, on board with Rossi.
And he's got Marquez firmly in his sights now, hasn't he, Valentino Rossi? This is at turn 7 and then 8. And then up towards this magnificent, fast, blind turn 9 that brings him on to the back straight. We ride with Rossi.
We know this is going to be a straight shootout. All of these top 3 riders, hard Michelin front tyre, hard Michelin rear tyre. Marquez gets that Honda snaking around under the brakes for that new turn number 10.
Real encouragement there for Valentino Rossi when he saw that happen. Up through the new turn 12, packed grandstands away to the left. Now the new Formula 1 chicane, turn 13. The right-hander, downhill they go.
Down the hill through 13, then they'll bank it hard left through 14. Right again through turn number 15, hard on the gas now for this final corner, turn number 16. We've got a great fight on our hands here in Barcelona. Lorenzo leads the way over the line to complete lap number 5. Quickest man last time around, a new record for Vinales, 1:45.971. Vinales, the first rider of this race to duck into the 1:45s. He still hasn't been able to find a way back through on Pedrosa, though, in 4th.
We rode with Valentino Rossi. Now we switch to front. Lorenzo Marquez Rossi. Here is Maverick Vinales. 1:45.971, as Matt said, but he's been a bit ragged. He's been a little bit impatient, hasn't he?
Rossi up the inside of Marquez. This is at turn number 4. Rossi makes the move. It's the Repsol corner and he passes the Repsol man. Rossi up into 2nd place.
Valentino Rossi is on fire here in Barcelona. The 6 times MotoGP winner at this circuit, now into 2nd place. The man in front of him, his teammate on the track, no teammate off the track, Jorge Lorenzo.
Rossi was 8th at the end of the first lap. He has scythed his way through this field. Vinales at the top of your pitch there, still not been able to find a way through on Pedrosa in that battle for 4th place.
Marc Marquez is not spent in any way either, I can promise you that. Any thoughts about championships and everything else will go out of the window. This is a straight gun fight between the 3 best riders in the world.
Yeah, Rossi was just in a fraction hot down into turn number 10. Didn't lose too much of his momentum, though. Pedrosa still holding off Vinales in that battle for 4th place. Vinales just can't find a way through on that Suzuki to try and drag himself into this podium hunt. They filter through turn number 5. Nothing between Lorenzo, Rossi and Marquez to complete lap number 6.
100,000 people are on their feet. Well, the board tells us little because they already know. They can hear. They fan out across the track. Who's going to be first into turn 1? Rossi on the brakes up the inside of Lorenzo, and he's made it stick. But as they flick it left, Rossi holds the advantage.
Rossi chops Lorenzo's nose off as they went through turn number 2. Valentino Rossi now leads this race here in Barcelona. What a battle we've had so far in the first 6 laps. Rossi at the front of this race from Lorenzo and Marquez. What have Lorenzo and Marquez got in response?
We ride now with Jorge Lorenzo. Sonny's got Marc Marquez right behind him. We switch now to Marquez. But Valentino Rossi leads here in Barcelona. And here comes Marquez back into 2nd place.
When was the last time we saw Jorge Lorenzo leading a race and then get swallowed up in 4 or 5 corners by 2 riders? Bradley Smith had an absolute nightmare here in Barcelona. He's entered the pits. Some obviously major technical problems for the British rider. He was running way down in 21st place. Now, Marc Marquez, he did not want Rossi to break away at the front. He quickly made that move on Lorenzo at turn number 5. Pedrosa still there in 4th place ahead of Vinales.
Whoa, heavy braking at turn 10 for Marc Marquez. He just jams on those brakes and hangs onto the handlebars. And he hangs onto the rear wheel of Rossi as they come up through turn 12.
Through 13. Looks like Lorenzo's really struggling to hang on in there at the moment. Rossi then through the chicane. Danny Pedrosa's closing up pretty quickly on Jorge Lorenzo at the moment. Pedrosa 1.1 seconds back of Lorenzo through the 3rd sector. We're going to complete lap number 7. It will be Rossi that leads the way. Marc Marquez has just put in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:46.204, as has Danny Pedrosa. The 2 Honda men are charging.
Down into turn 1 they come. 18 laps to go for this magnificent Grand Prix of Catalunya. The Mediterranean sunshine. And Valentino Rossi's won here 9 times previously. And this is the overtaking manoeuvre down at turn 1. And he made it stick.
Yeah, it was a classic Barcelona move down the first corner for Rossi. up the inside of Lorenzo, and Lorenzo got mugged about 4 corners later by Marc Marquez. This was down at turn number 5. Lovely manoeuvre up the inside by Marc Marquez.
Valentino Rossi still leads the way up towards turn 7 and 8. 17 and a half laps to go. Tyre degradation could be a real problem. They're coming into unknown territory. Maverick Vinales has had, well, a helter-skelter of a ride, but he's hanging onto the rear wheel of Dani Pedrosa, and while he does that, he's being brought in. A sad, sad face from Bradley Smith.
Lorenzo is really struggling here. Look at this, Dani Pedrosa and Maverick Vinales have closed right up now on the reigning world champion. Last time around, Dani Pedrosa was 7/10 of a second quicker than Lorenzo. Lorenzo on the last lap was 9/10 slower than his teammate Rossi. He is really struggling with grip, obviously, in the early part of this race. Lorenzo Pedrosa, who's got that medium option rear tyre, that medium option Michelin rear tyre, he's making great advantage of that at the moment. How much longer will that tyre hold up, though, for Pedrosa? But he's right now on the rear tyre of Lorenzo. He might have the slipstream to attack Lorenzo on the brakes going down into the first corner.
17 laps to go. Here they come down towards turn 1. We ride with Dani Pedrosa on the brakes. Will the blue Yamaha come in front of him? There's a very clear answer, and the answer is no.
Lorenzo at the moment dropping like a stone. Vinales will be getting great encouragement from this. Just look how much Vinales was able to close up on Lorenzo there through that third corner. It just looks like Lorenzo, he can't carry the corner speed that he normally wants to do with that hard option rear tyre. Vinales moves to the inside, no way through this time around for the Suzuki rider. Again, he got it a bit out of shape on the brakes. Just got to bide his time, not get too erratic, Vinales. Will he attack now at turn number 5? No, Lorenzo a little bit too strong on the brakes.
Yeah, that's because when Marquez went past Jorge Lorenzo a couple of laps ago, isn't it? This time a little bit aware of it. Up towards 7 and 8 now.
Guys, just a very quick word. So Bradley Smith, transmission problems. They've got to check the data to find out exactly what it was.
Many thanks, Dylan. Just remind us of who's gone for the medium tyres. It's Dani Pedrosa. But Maverick Vinales is hard, though, isn't it?
Hard tyres. I think what's quite interesting is if you think back to Jerez, that was we also had these very hot temperatures, very hot track temperatures, and the Hondas were generally struggling a little bit more with spinning. But also so was Jorge Lorenzo. Dani Pedrosa's medium tyre, that's obviously working pretty well at the moment. But he's no doubt going to be a little bit more worried about that drop off, because one thing, remember, this unified software is set up from the previous day. It cannot adjust itself anymore, and they haven't really ridden in such high temperatures here yet.
Pedrosa's already gapping Lorenzo. We just saw Iannone come through your shot there. He's still in 6th place under pressure from Pol Espargaro. Now, can Vinales get in Lorenzo's slipstream like Dani Pedrosa did last time around? There he's getting the pit board. Vinales +0.
Here we go, down towards turn 1, 16 laps to go. Marquez certainly has not let Rossi get away. Vinales on the brakes on the Suzuki, and I think he's through. Lorenzo, though, back in front of him as they come through the left, as they come through turn 1 and then 2 on towards turn 3. Vinales hasn't showed a great deal of patience so far, but I think he's just got to be patient and bide his moment. We're back riding with the Suzuki rider. Here he comes up through turn 3. Once again, he runs it wide, and Lorenzo retakes 4th place.
That must be a dozen times now that Vinales has made moves on riders in front of him. Just can't quite make it stick.
We're back with Maverick Vinales. You can see Dani Pedrosa, well, a fair bit in front of them now.
Yeah, Dani Pedrosa and Marc Marquez again last time around put in their personal best laps of the race. A 1:46.0 from Marquez, 1:46.3 from Pedrosa. The problem for Pedrosa is he's 1.6 seconds behind his Repsol Honda teammate Marquez as we ride on board with Vinales out of turn number 9 on the shortened back straight. Not close enough this time around to attack Lorenzo on the brakes.
Where's he going to make the move? You do think he fancies down at turn 1. He certainly can get past him, but then it's right and the left, and the man that's been overtaken can often get the advantage coming into 2, can't he? We ride with Vinales. He could not be closer. We don't need to be told him by the graphic. Mighty close, I think, is the answer.
Lorenzo just can't carry anything like his normal corner speed. We've got a great shot there, and Vinales just getting right onto the rear tyre of that factory Yamaha. Back at the front, completing lap number 10 is Valentino Rossi. He leads the way by just over 0.3 of a second from Marquez. Dani Pedrosa last time around lost half a second, so Pedrosa for the first time now over 2 seconds behind that lead group of 2.
Here comes Vinales in the background, gain up the inside of Jorge Lorenzo. Valentino Rossi still leads the way, as you can see from Marc Marquez. Marquez doing a really good job hanging in there. Just seeing how those tyres are going to behave. What has happened here? He still has not got past. He is pushing in from behind, isn't he? All the way. They come up now towards turn 4. There's Jorge Lorenzo, Maverick Vinales.
Jorge Lorenzo hasn't got any edge grip. Look again how close. Vinales is almost touching his rear tyre on Lorenzo's rear tyre, rather.
Get the feeling if he can't get past, he'll go, won't he? Because Lorenzo is having major problem.
Lorenzo's so good on the brakes that Vinales just can't get close enough to make a safe enough move, but he's really struggling mid-corner, is Jorge Lorenzo. Vinales all over him in the turns.
Let's have a quick look further down. 6 is Iannone, 7 Pol Espargaro, 8th Andrea Dovizioso, 9 Cal Crutchlow, 10 Hector Barbera, 11 Danilo Petrucci.
Vinales again, is he close enough to take that? No, he's not. Still not, can't make that move on Lorenzo down into turn number 10.
Let's have a look at the front. So this is the battle for 4th place between Jorge Lorenzo and Maverick Vinales. The split screen shows us the battle at the front between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. It's that type of race. Whoa. If Marc Marquez wins this race and these results remain the same, he would retake the lead. Well, he would take over the lead in the World Championship.
Vinales, surely this time around he's going to be able to get close enough to Lorenzo on that run down to the first corner to make an attack on his fellow Spanish rider. Here we go, Vinales. Is he close enough? No, he's not. Lorenzo again strong on the brakes. What's the gap now between Marquez and Pedrosa? It's gone up to 2.3 seconds. Andrea Iannone just put in his personal best lap of the race last time around, a 1:46.7. That was almost a second faster than Vinales.
This is the battle at the front. Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. Here we go again. Vinales has gone through this time. I think he's got through this time. I think he's going to make it stick. He has. Maverick Vinales through now to 4th place. And Jorge Lorenzo will struggle to stay with him because he is having some major problems.
It'll be interesting to see now what happens between Lorenzo and Iannone. There's Andrea Iannone just at the top of your picture coming out of turn 5. Iannone currently is just over 2 seconds back of that battle between Lorenzo and Vinales for 4th and 5th. Back with the race leader Rossi, the doctor looking for a remedy after those, well, that cruel engine problem that ruled him out last time out in Mugello. Are we set for another classic Rossi-Marquez showdown? Remember Argentina 2015, Assen 2015, and who could forget Sepang 2015?
Well, Dylan, who looks after the tyres better in these situations? Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez? Just before you come, this is Maverick Vinales finally making it stick into 4th place. Back to you, Dylan.
But I think, what we learned in Jerez, that, with these current tyres the way they are, it was Rossi who showed that in Jerez he was the one who could manage them best, because that's when they had to manage a lot more with the throttle than they did now. But Marquez, as we know, is a pretty quick learner, so at the moment I'd probably say it's a bit of a tie.
We ride with Maverick Vinales as he goes past Jorge Lorenzo and makes it stick. The battle at the front, the two bitter rivals, Rossi and Marquez, then Danny Pedrosa, Vinales and Lorenzo.
This could get worse for Lorenzo. Vinales is quite comfortably streaking away from the world champion, and Andrea Iannone in 6th place. He's only now 1.7 seconds behind Lorenzo. Last time around, Iannone on the factory Ducati was 0.7 of a second faster than Lorenzo, so this could be getting even worse for Lorenzo. Yoni Hernandez there's got to drop back 1 position. I suspect that's because he's run on at turn number 13, missed the chicane, so he's got to drop back 1 position, Hernandez. He's currently running inside the point scoring places. Rossi, Marquez, Pedrosa, Vinales, Lorenzo and Iannone, that's your top 6. Pol Espargaro, Andrea Dovizioso, Cal Crutchlow and Hector Barbera rounding out the top 10. Petrucci, Aleix Espargaro, Jack Miller, Yoni Hernandez and Scott Redding. That's your point scoring finishes at the moment. Look at how much of a gap Vinales has already put into Lorenzo as Iannone comes under real pressure now from Pol Espargaro. Cal Crutchlow doing a good job of holding off his former Tech 3 Yamaha teammate Andrea Dovizioso, of course his former factory Ducati teammate as well, these two.
Yeah, this is the battle for 9th place between two very experienced riders. Crutchlow, well, both actually desperate for some morale boosting rides. It's a very important point. This is Pol Espargaro and Andrea Iannone. Great ride by Pol Espargaro. It's the battle for 6th place.
You can see in that brilliant new feature, that split screen on the left-hand side of your picture. We're on board there with Marc Marquez going down the start-finish straight. That's the gap between Marquez and Rossi at the front of this race. They're already over the line to start lap number 14. And Marquez now is within 0.3 of a second of Rossi. Pol Espargaro is having a really strong ride here in his home Grand Prix. Going to be mighty difficult to get close enough to Andrea Iannone on that straight to blitz past that Ducati.
This is the battle for 6th place, both of them former winners here. This is Cal Crutchlow still holding off Andrea Dovizioso. This is the battle for 8th place. It's tight, Dovizioso pushing hard. He had arm pump problems, if you remember it, in Mugello. Back at the front. Which way is this going to go?
Last time around, Vinales a full 1 second faster than Lorenzo. Within a couple of laps, Vinales has gapped Lorenzo by almost 2 seconds.
This is a Valentino Rossi, familiar 46, right there. Number 93. Once friends, now bitter enemies and rivals. And they're fighting it out in the best possible way at the front of a Grand Prix. Turn 15.
Yeah, Marquez won't realise, but with all the drama unfolding behind him, if Iannone and Pol Espargaro can catch up to Jorge Lorenzo, then there's a fair chance that Marquez could lead the World Championship.
I think there's every chance, wouldn't you? He can absolutely guarantee it, of course, if he wins the race.
Guys, I was just having a chat with Michelin actually about this possible situation of Vinales catching up Pedrosa. Obviously, Pedrosa with that medium option rear tyre. I asked them, look, how many laps earlier should that medium tyre drop off? And it was actually Nicolas Goubert who said, look, do you know what? It's so difficult to tell because actually Danny's quite a lot smoother on the gas than quite a few of the guys using that harder option tyre. So we might actually not see quite as much of the drop off as we're expecting, but it's certainly something to keep an eye out on.
Across the line, Rossi's advantage around 0.4 of a second. Oh, and they close up on braking, as they often do at this circuit. Last week, well, 2 weeks ago, sorry, it was Marquez fighting Lorenzo. Now it is Marquez fighting with Rossi for the ultimate accolade.
We're on board with Lorenzo briefly there. Looking back at Crutchlow, he's still in 8th place ahead of Dovizioso. This is a battle for 10th between Petrucci, Barbara and Aleix Espargaro on the second of the factory Suzukis. On board with Lorenzo, we couldn't just see in the background, but Iannone, the gap now down to 1.3 seconds. Iannone took another 0.3 out of Lorenzo on that last lap. We've still got 10.5 laps to go here in Barcelona.
Yeah, and he's also bringing along Pol Espargaro with him, and it can make life very, very difficult for Jorge Lorenzo. This is very, very much a limitation. Try and get some points for Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, tyre conservation really coming into play already in this race. Rossi, Marquez and Pedrosa last time around were the only 3 riders in this field still able to run in the 146s. The gap between Rossi and Marquez was up to nearly 0.4 of a second at the end of the last lap. For the first time in this race, Rossi's advantage now is up to half a second.
There we go, battle for first place, 10.5 laps to go. A little bit less than that as they come down into the Formula 1 chicane. Rossi and Marquez, 14 and 15. The right that leads them into 16 when they cross the line to go. 10 laps to go of this round 7 of the MotoGP World Championship. Marquez being told exactly where his teammate Dani Pedrosa is in 3rd place.
Marquez just marginally quicker last time around than Rossi by about 1/10 of a second. Pedrosa's now fallen 3 seconds back of this top 2. Vinales, his podium challenge looks to have evaporated. He's 3.7 seconds now behind Pedrosa.
Yeah, it was a poor old start from Valentino Rossi, wasn't it, from that second row. They got a great start from Andrea Iannone on the 3rd row of the grid, as it's Lorenzo who led the way.
Yeah, Iannone got an absolutely brilliant start. He's had problems starting that factory Ducati all year. He got a shocker in Mugello just a couple of weeks ago. Here is Rossi. We're going to see him absolutely blitz very shortly by the Ducati of Iannone. It'll sweep up the inside. There you go, the red blur just blitzes past Rossi. And it got worse for Valentino Rossi because eventually he dropped back down to 8th place. We said, didn't we, those Ducatis that were coming from behind him? Look, he got passed by Barbara, Dovizioso and Iannone. The grunt, the acceleration off the line of that Ducati really caught Rossi cold.
This is them coming through turn 2, start of the race. So Lorenzo led the way from the 2 Hondas as Marquez, Dani Pedrosa.
At this stage of the race, Nick, as you look at this brilliant super slow-mo through turn number 15, who would have said at that point of the race, with 10 laps to go, Lorenzo will be back in 5th place and nearly 10 seconds off the race leader? You could never have imagined that scenario.
Yeah, obviously major problems for Jorge Lorenzo. Damage limitation in place at the moment at the front. Well, we can keep looking at the timing screens, but you can see for yourself Marquez is keeping Valentino Rossi in sight. They cross the line. There will be 9 laps to go. 100,000 people absolutely at fever pitch here in Barcelona. And they're not all cheering for the local man, Marc Marquez.
Cast your minds back to 2009. Rossi versus Lorenzo, the classic Catalunya battle. Are we about to get a repeat of that between Rossi and Marc Marquez? Rossi just loves rubbing in the Spaniard's nose in their face and in the home stall. He won from pole position in Jerez. Imagine if he was able to take the victory here in Barcelona as well. It would be a great way for Rossi to recover from that crushing blow. Here is Iannone. Well, we said he was catching Lorenzo. Lorenzo could be dropping back to 6th place.
Yeah, he's going to, isn't he?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He would just blast past him at some point. And then Lorenzo's got to worry about Pol Espargaro and just trying to keep as many points as he can. Lorenzo coming under real pressure. It's been an incredibly difficult race for the world champion and the championship leader. Iannone knows as they go down through the chicane. Iannone knows he will overtake him, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that Lorenzo can do.
Look at that front tyre wear as well for Jorge Lorenzo. That's that hard mixing option rear tyre. He just hasn't been comfortable all the time. What about that? Oh, Iannone saw it gone. Iannone ran to the back of Lorenzo. Iannone got it way too hot down at turn number 10. They are going to be Ducati teammates. Wow, that was unbelievable. Andrea Iannone, what did he do? A repeat of Argentina.
Iannone's okay. Jorge Lorenzo is absolutely furious. He's brought down the championship lead. The championship's been made wide open into turn 10.
Way too hot. I'm afraid Andrea Iannone has got to take full responsibility for that. He was coming from just way too back. Look at this. He's going to torpedo Jorge Lorenzo. That is almost a carbon copy of the last corner when he took out Andrea Dovizioso in Argentina. While Lorenzo was dropping through the field like a stone. He's not willing to accept the apologies at all.
Just pushing him away. And I've got to say, you can't blame Jorge Lorenzo, can you?
Well, it was bad enough for Lorenzo anyway. And no surprise, but that incident between Lorenzo and Iannone will be immediately reviewed after the race by the stewards and race direction here. There's not really much for me that Andrea Iannone can say to Jorge Lorenzo. He came from a long way back. You could tell that Iannone was struggling because his rear wheel was right up in the air. That's how hard he was on the brakes. Of course, he won't be teammates next year with the Andrea Dovizioso stone. Apologies for that one. Got a little bit excited in all the drama.
How does this affect Marc Marquez? I don't think it affects him at all. He wants to beat Valentino Rossi. But Marc Marquez now leads the World Championship. He could settle for a safe second place and be leading the championship.
Massive moment for Marquez. Marc Marquez just had a huge moment. Lost the front going through turn number 14. Brilliant super slow motion replay. Hearts in mouths for the Repsol Honda team because Marc Marquez once again somehow survives an almighty scare. He had one at turn number 5 in practice on Friday. Well, he was lucky not to be on the floor. He's getting the pit board. Lorenzo KO'd by Andrea Iannone.
Yeah, but will that board be enough and that moment for him to think, right, engage brain and lead the World Championship going into Assen in 3 weeks' time?
Confirmation, the incident involving Iannone and Lorenzo will be reviewed after
I think
the
that's
race.
going to be their most difficult decision of the season, do you?
Well, it was the fact that Andrea Iannone, his rear wheel was about a foot in the air in the braking zone. He knew he was getting in way too hot. Poor old Jorge Lorenzo. You've got to say that the speed with which he was hit, and he was already leaning into the corner, Lorenzo, it was a bit like the Dani Pedrosa, Andrea Dovizioso situation. Dani Pedrosa, of course, fully apologetic. It was a completely different situation in Texas, we must say. But Lorenzo, like Dovizioso, was really fortunate to get away with that.
Oh, what a dramatic race we've seen already. There is still 6.5 laps to go. Is the drama over, or can the drama increase?
The point you made about how does Marquez now think about the championship, knowing that Lorenzo's out. Aleix Espargaro, the Suzuki, has entered the pits, as has Yoni Hernandez. Marc Marquez, what's he thinking about the championship? He knows if he stays in second place, he will be leading the World Championship with Lorenzo out of the race. He's had huge scare on the front end, but it's number 46 in front of him.
No,
and that will, no doubt about it, that will cloud his judgment, shall we say? It's a red rag to a bull, isn't it?
It is. Emilio Alzamora is probably hanging out with a great big board as they come through. Engaged brain.
Here comes Lorenzo.
Oh, he is angry. Very angry indeed. And I got to say, rightly so.
Yeah, with some justification, because he's limping away pretty badly. It was a really big old whack. Here we go. We're on board now with Lorenzo.
This is going to be Iannone. Here he comes. Bang!
He knew he was going to hit him, and he absolutely just jammed on the front brake because you could see his rear wheel right at the end there, just before he made contact with Lorenzo. Iannone's rear wheel was about half a foot in the air. He knew that he was going to career into the back of Lorenzo. Second time this year that Iannone has done that to a rider, and Lorenzo, he will be absolutely raging.
When he came through, sorry Dylan, when he came down the start-finish straight just now, he had his eyes closed, Marc Marquez, in case there was any messages, he didn't want to read them. Sorry, Dylan.
No, guys, just a quick word on Aleix Espargaro. So his rear tyre looks absolutely destroyed. He said he was opening the gas and just, it just felt like it wasn't pushing him forward.
So it's certainly, well, let's have a look quickly. Pedrosa third, 4 Vinales, 5 Pol Espargaro, 6 Crutchlow, 7 Dovizioso, 8 Petrucci, 9 Barbara, 10 Batista, 11 Miller, 12 Redding, 13 Bradle, 14 Rabat, and 15 Laverty. That's just when it's just either Valentin is not the moment. No, we've just been reminded of the tyres, the moment that Marc Marquez had.
Rossi's really strong in that second section. He's able to take a couple of tenths out of Marquez through the second split. Rossi's mechanics, Alex Briz, Bernard Arnshaw, Brent Stevens all look on anxiously. 5 and a bit laps to go. We've had so much drama already here in Barcelona. We could be set for
the most dramatic bit of the ball. That's right. 9 metres, 10 metres. Down through 14, now 15. Coming into 16 when they cross the line. 5 laps to go here in Barcelona. The 2 men you really want to see at the front fight it out to the checkered flag. Valentino Rossi crosses the line with an advantage of just over 0.2 of a second as we ride with Marc Marquez down towards turn 1.
Almost identical lap times last time around. Rossi 1:47.359. Marquez slightly slower, 1:47.371. Nothing between the two. 2/10 of a second in time is about 12-13 metres on the track. Now it's in this second sector where Rossi's been pretty strong. Well, Andrea Iannone.
Is that Catalunya speaking to him?
It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very long conversation, was it?
No, it certainly wasn't. Here we go. We're going to have a look at it again. Really? Oh. Tell you what, as you say, he was leant over Jorge Lorenzo and it really shot him up into the air, didn't it?
Unfortunately, for Andrea Iannone, it's not the first time that has happened this year. Catching minds back to the Turnmaster Rio Honda race as Marquez now has closed right up on the rear tyre of Valentino Rossi. Is he close enough to attack coming down into the braking zone for turn number 10? Marquez has a look up the inside of Rossi. Marquez takes the lead, a classic block pass. Has he run wide? Yes, he has. Rossi back at the front.
Wow, listen to the crowd. This is what they've paid their money to see. Marquez versus Rossi in Barcelona. It does not get any better than this as they dive down towards turn 13, now into 14 and 15.
This is going to be an incredible final 4 laps. The showdown of showdowns, Rossi versus Marquez. We saw Marquez close up really close coming out of that turn 9. Had a look up the inside of Rossi on the brakes in the turn 10. He's going to try and move by Rossi down the straight. Marquez has got the slipstream. He moves up on the outside. Rossi can't hold it. Can he get fired back on the brakes? Right, here comes Rossi.
Rossi back up the inside into turn 1. Marquez will flip back across. Rossi brilliant through turn 2 and holds the advantage.
This is like Barcelona 2009 when it was Rossi versus Lorenzo. It's Rossi versus another Spaniard this time around in the shape of Marc Marquez. Nothing between the two over the line, just 700ths of a second. No way through for Marquez this time around at turn number 4.
Through turn 4 they come, then they come down to 5. This difficult left-hander, first gear. Marquez has had problems here. He's lost the front end here and has to push the bike back up. There is 3.5 laps to go.
I think we've got our answer about whether Marquez is thinking about the World Championship. He wants the instant glory here in Barcelona. Closes again right up on Rossi through into turn number 7. This is where he was able to get close to Rossi last time around, coming through this long right-hander, turn number 9, onto the back straight. Rossi just gaps Marquez a little bit. Will Marquez be close enough this time around on the brakes into turn number 10? Don't think he will be.
No, I don't think he is this time round. Rossi very, very steady through there. Marquez having to work hard to hang on to that rear wheel up through the turn 11 and then turn 12 and now into this new section of the Barcelona circuit.
Well, Marquez is pushing that front of that Repsol Honda really, really hard. You can see the rear tyre hopping and skipping into the braking zone for turn number 10. It's a bit one line through this new chicane section. No way through this time around for Marquez.
It was one line.
Well,
who knows?
What about that movie made on Hector Barbara?
That's right. Here we go. Over the line, through turn 16, 3 laps to go. He's close this time round, Marc Marquez. Will he slipstream? What will he do? Here he comes. This is what he did last time round. This time, oh, he's braking very hard indeed. He gets the Honda in there. Marc Marquez leads here in Barcelona. Rossi fights back.
Rossi tries to ride around the outside of Marquez through the second corner. No way through. Marquez holds firm. Rossi, though, close enough to attack at turn number 4. This is where he made a move on Marquez early on in the race. He's definitely close enough. Can Rossi fight back?
Into turn 4 they come. No, Marquez blocks the way through. This fast right-hander down towards turn 5, the left-hander. Rossi, front wheel almost touching the rear wheel of the Repsol Honda. Down into 5 they come.
Marquez holds firm. Rossi not close enough. This is more than 25 points at stake. This is all about pride between Marquez and Valentino Rossi.
This is nothing to do with World Championships. This is between two guys who don't get on. Two guys who want to come out number 1 on the track. They race up towards turn 9. 2.5 laps to go.
This is a favoured overtaking place for Marquez down at the end of the back straight. Can Rossi get close enough? He sweeps to the inside line. Rossi, no, he's not having a look up the inside this time around. Closes right up on the back wheel, though, of Marc Marquez. There's about a metre between them as they peel through turn 11.
Up through turns 12, grandstands away to their left, going absolutely crazy. We ride with Rossi as they come down now through 13, through the Formula 1 chicane.
Marquez, no way through for Rossi on this lap through 14. This is where Marquez had that massive scare on the front end. We're about to start the penultimate lap here in Barcelona. It's Marc Marquez that leads this dramatic Barcelona Grand Prix.
2 to go, down the straight they come, 215 miles an hour. Rossi lines him up beautifully. Rossi up the inside, 46 versus 93. Rossi on the brakes and leads the way into turn 1.
Marquez not close enough to snap straight back through turn number 2. Rossi's really good on that Yamaha through this long, long turn number 3. Who's kept the grip in those tyres the better? Will it be Rossi? Will it be Marquez? Rossi's pulled out a bit of a gap coming out of turn number 3. They can barely watch in the Yamaha and Honda camps.
Rossi just opens up, prizes open a few precious metres Marquez riding the wheels of that Honda to stay with him as they come down towards turn 5. 1.5 laps to go.
Can Rossi make the decisive break on this penultimate lap? He's 0.2 of a second up on Marquez through the first split. He's picked up another 10th in sector 2. Marquez runs wide through turn number 7. Is that a costly mistake for Marquez?
That could have decided the outcome of this race. Up they come through turn 9 onto the back straight. Rossi is opening up the advantage at the front, down at turn 10. I think the race is over.
Oh, it was a massive mistake by Marquez at turn number 7. Here we go. He's in a way too hot. It cost him half a second. Rossi now leads by almost 0.9 of a second. That could be the key move, the pivotal move of this Barcelona battle.
Down through turn 13 they come. Rossi leads the way. His last victory 6 weeks ago at Jerez in Spain. Again in Marc Marquez country into 16. 1 lap to go of this epic battle here. The Mediterranean coast of Spain.
Rossi starts the last lap just over 0.7 of a second clear of Marquez. Can Marc Marquez produce the last lap of his life to win here in front of his home crowd in Barcelona, or is that crucial mistake at turn number 7 on the last lap going to be the end of his challenge?
Rossi now has this race in his own hands. Rossi up towards turn 4, dip down any moment now towards turn 5. Then there will be half a lap to go. Marquez knows that it's 20 points, but it's also the lead in the World Championship, with Jorge Lorenzo being torpedoed out of the race by Andre Iannone.
If Marquez can come back into victory contention now, then it will be one of the best last laps you have ever witnessed, because Valentino Rossi has rode this absolutely brilliantly. Rossi's race to lose now is 1.5 seconds quicker than Marc Marquez. You do feel with that mistake that Marquez made, he's now starting to think about the bigger picture of the World Championship, because Marquez, there is no way in a million years that Valentino Rossi, barring an absolute disaster, is going to give up a 1.5 second lead with just 6 corners of this brilliant Barcelona race to go.
Crowd going absolutely crazy. Rossi up through turn 12. Now runs it along the top, past the stadium section, past the Valentino Rossi grandstand, down into 13, 14 and 15 coming up. The crowd, every single one of the 100,000 people here, are ready to salute the doctor, the master. The man now makes it 10 race victories here in Barcelona.
Rossi victorious in an epic Barcelona battle 2016 ahead of Marc Marquez. Dani Pedrosa back on the podium for only the second time this year. Pedrosa finishes second.
Oh, what a motorcycle race.
Here comes Viñales. He's about to take 4th place on that Suzuki. A very lonely 4th place for Viñales. 5th place for Pol Espargaro. That's equaling his best result of the season so far. Joy on one side of the factory Yamaha garage for Valentino Rossi. Despair for Jorge Lorenzo. The roles reversed after last time out. Cal Crutchlow has crossed the line in 6th place. That is Crutchlow's first top 6 finish in almost 1 year. His last at the Dutch TT in Assen almost a year ago. Dovizioso 7. Alvaro Bautista on the factory Aprilia in 8th place. What a performance by the Spaniard. He got Danilo Petrucci on the last lap. Petrucci 9th, Barber 10th, Miller 11th, Radl 12th, Labate, Rabat and Michele Pirro. They are the point scoring finishers. But wow, catch your breath after that one.
Maverick Viñales. Boy, did he try in those early stages of the race. It does appear that perhaps some fans are on the track, which is not something anybody wants to see. Great ride by Viñales. Little bit ragged early on, but settled into a good rhythm. Marc Marquez leads the World Championship. And I think you're right. That mistake on the penultimate lap, turn 7, I think it just made him realise that, hey, you've got to stick at this. And that is it. One would imagine Marc Marquez, but they're certainly not putting number 2 for finishing second in the race, or number 1 for leading the World Championship. I imagine it may be a tribute to Luis Salom. There is Maverick Viñales, 4th place. He's banging in some consistent results on that Suzuki in lead.
Yeah, 4th place finish for Viñales. That's his best result since he was 3rd, that first career Premier Class podium in Le Mans. Did Viñales think that the race had finished early there? I'm not quite sure what was going on.
I'm not quite sure what went on there.
I wonder if he perhaps miscounted. He might have actually gone on. He might have thought that the race had finished 1 lap earlier than it actually did.
There we go. Number 39, of course, the number 2. One of MotoGP's favourite sons, Luis Salom. who lost his life here at this circuit on a Friday afternoon. The crowd rise. Boy, they've had great entertainment. What a race. That had a bit of everything. There is number 19, Alvaro Bautista. Danny Pedrosa, good to see him on the boat. But a fantastic ride by Bautista. Is that the best finish by an Aprilia? Surely is in the picture.
Stefan Rada, I think, might have had a 7th place in Argentina. He did, Rada. So very, very close. Look at what that's done for the World Championship. Marc Marquez, 10 points he was behind Jorge Lorenzo coming into this Catalan Grand Prix. He leaves 10 points clear of Lorenzo, who did not finish that race after a nasty-looking collision with Andrea Iannone down at turn number 10. Lorenzo certainly had dropped right out of victory contention. It's just a real shame that Marc Marquez made that mistake on the penultimate turn number 7, because what it did, it denied us probably one of the great last lap battles we've seen in many a long time. But Marc Marquez, he had a couple of scares, Andy, on the front end. We saw one at turn number 15. And once he'd lost that half a second to Valentino Rossi, that's when championship mode kicked back in, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Rossi celebrates with his legion of fans at the Valentino Rossi grandstand. And here we go. Gets in the inside there, Marc Marquez. Rossi pulls back. They were swapping paint at this stage. Marquez once again on the brakes into turn 1. You look at Rossi, very strong on the brakes. Marquez, well, absolutely putting everything into stopping that Honda, and he made it stick. But Rossi was ready to pounce.
I'm sure that hashtag on social media, Rossi versus Marquez, is probably already trending around the world now, because that was a brilliant battle. Boy, these two have had some good battles in their time, haven't they? Argentina last year, Assen last year, Malaysia. Valentino Rossi, what a way to bounce back from the disappointment of not finishing in Mugello.
I mean, he just